Hello and welcome to our English news coming to you live from Canal Algérie. First, the top stories of the news. Algeria advocates for greater cooperation between the Arab League and the UN and calls for ending regional crisis to establish peace in the Middle East, with its defending the Palestinian cause. Tonight's History Window sheds light on martyr Ali Boumendjel, cowardly killed by the French colonial forces. Consolidating ties with the national community settled abroad tops the consular meeting of Rome, Italy. And Morocco, always jolted by protest movement, while the Mahsen regime is turning a deaf ear to the growing popular anger. Welcome back. Thursday Now News. Algeria chaired on Friday a meeting of the UN Security Council devoted to the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestinian issue. Algeria's representative to the UN Security Council, Ammar Ben Jama, reiterated Algeria's stand backing the Palestinian people, as confirmed by the President of the Republic on several occasions. Palestinians are now facing severe humanitarian conditions, notably children deprived of education and health care. A meeting between the United Nations and the League of the Arab States was held as well on Thursday to tackle several issues related mainly to peace and security in the region. The Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Issues and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, advocated during the session for the Palestinian cause, urging the necessity to end foreign interference. The gist of the meeting with Leticia Sadqawi.
A crucial meeting that gathered the UN Security Council with the League of Arab States, during which many persistent issues were discussed in order to identify the practical methods to benefit from the experience of both ends in resolving and preventing conflicts. The Algerian foreign minister seized the opportunity to stress that Algeria will always defend the fair causes with integrity and sincerity.
It is paramount to consolidate the efforts between the Arab League and the UN. The key to restore peace and security in the Middle East lies in resolving the Palestinian issue based on international legitimacy. We expect this partnership to end foreign interferences in internal affairs of countries in all its forms, because it is evident that this phenomenon is a common factor in all the crises of the Arab world, such as Libya, Syria, Sudan and Yemen. For his end, the Secretary General of the Arab League commended Algeria's remarkable efforts since joining the UN Security Council in its presidency this ongoing January in regards to promoting the relations between both bodies.
First of all, Mr. Minister, I extend to Algeria my sincere congratulations for its efforts deployed during its presidency of the Security Council. I also like to express my profound gratitude the role played by your country as the spokesman for the Arab world at the Council. Additionally, I strongly welcome the initiative to hold this important session under Algeria's presidency to consolidate the relations between the Arab League and the Security Council.
Algeria spares no effort to voice loud and clear its solidarity with the fair causes of the world through the platform of the UN Security Council, and to reinforce relations between the UN and the Arab world in order to promote peace and security.
And the occupied Palestine Abu Yusuf al-Najjar Hospital in Rafah is the emptieth example for the barbarism of the Zionist occupier. The only state hospital in the city is now fully destroyed, according to our correspondent Wissam Abu Zaid, in this report taken up by Leticia Sadqawi once again.
Heartbreaking scenes depicted by our correspondent in Gaza of what used to be Abu Yusuf al-Najjar Hospital in Rafah. The only governmental hospital in the city is now leveled to the ground.
Yusuf Abu Najjar Hospital and all neighboring buildings have been completely destroyed by the Zionist occupation, leaving us with no health institution.
Wissam Abu Zaid, our ground correspondent, tried to roam the remains of this hospital to find any indicators that this building once accommodated patients and doctors, such as these dusty beds and destroyed equipment stuck under the rubble, leaving us to imagine the chilling scenes of panicked personnel and wounded under attack trying to save their skin.
الأجهزة العيادة الخارجية العمليات.
Pure destruction of the services, the equipment, the beds, everything. They left us with nothing. Yusuf Abu Najjar was the only hospital for Rafah inhabitants, but the Zionists completely leveled it to the ground.
فدمرها الاحتلال بشكل كامل.
This hospital is one of the many vital infrastructure that the Zionists brutally attacked without the least consideration to the risks posed to Gazans and how will they return to normal life.
Tonight's History Window is devoted to one of Algiers' great heroes, namely Ali Boumendjel, killed by the French forces, which denied this historical fact, favouring the suicide option. The following report digs deeper to unearth the truth. It required nearly 69 years for the French state to recognize the murder of Ali Boumendjel, a heinous crime that the colonial army usually pretended to be a suicide. The assassination prolongs the macabre list of the horrendous crimes perpetrated by the colonial forces during the National Liberation War. Born on May 24, 1919, in Relizan province, Ali Boumendjel was a bright student and joined the Algiers Faculty of Law. Being a lawyer and a key Algerian political leader, he was arrested during the famous Battle of Algiers. He was tortured and assassinated on May 23, 1957, at the age of 38. Ali Boumendjel was subject to torture before being assassinated cowardly by the special forces of General Massi. His assassination was meant to uproot the dream of freedom among the Algerian people. However, this strategy was doomed to failure thanks to the National Liberation Army. Fighting against injustice and the colonial system was the hobby horse of Ali Boumendjel, who devoted his lifetime to this lofty cause. Independence was the outcome of this matchless determination, and his brave story is still inspiring young generations who have to fight for their country's memory. Back to modern Algeria, the first stopover of the year for the Consuls General of the Southern Europe region took place in Rome. A meeting focused on listening and action with the goal of addressing the concerns of our nationals and enhancing consular services. Discussions also covered economic projects, investments, opportunities, and the key role of our community in driving Algiers' development. More details with both Afa Belhouchet and Lila Balaman.
The first consular meeting of the year was held today at the premises of the Algerian ambassador in Rome. The Secretary of State for the National Community Abroad brought together consuls general representing the Southern Europe region for a day of dialogue focused on listening and action. The aim is to assess the implementation of the instructions issued by the national high authorities with the goal of improving the quality of consular services. It also provided an opportunity to gather the positive feedback and appreciation expressed by members of our community regarding the recently adopted measures in their favor. I am particularly referring to the decisions made by President Abdelmajid Tebboune concerning travel facilitations. Beyond administrative matters, it was crucial to find ways to address the growing desire for identity connection, the Amazigh Arabic language, as well as cultural events, elements that strengthen ties to one's roots. These are demands that have been fully addressed by the President of the Republic, as very ambitious and significant decisions have been made. This includes the opening of cultural centers across the globe, not only in Europe, and initiatives undertaken by the government to ensure the remote teaching of the Algerian language and culture.
Le gouvernement a envie d'assurer un enseignement distanciel de la langue de la culture algérienne.
The economic dimension was not overlooked. Driven by a new generation of talented entrepreneurs, the economic connection with Algeria must be consolidated. Promoting opportunities, supporting project leaders, and developing integration platforms were at the heart of the discussions. This involves addressing the clear directives outlined by the President of the Republic to ensure consular services that align with digitization, while also encouraging members of the diaspora to invest in the country. As such, we presented all the initiatives taken in this regard.
Et donc nous avons exposé toutes les mesures et initiatives qui ont été prises dans ce sens.
This meeting laid the groundwork for a coordinated strategy to strengthen the bond between Algeria and its children abroad, with clear commitments and promising prospects, a closer Algeria at all times, no matter where one may be.
Melissa Leila Balaman reporting on the consular meeting of Rome. You are still watching Canal Algérie. Coming up in our news. A festive atmosphere marks the capital's football hot derby won by Molide of Algiers with 3-0. Welcome back to our news. To investment now, the Algerian gas and electricity company Sonalgas is conquering the African continent in quest of partnership and cooperation. Efforts are underway to establish an electrical plant in Niger, in addition to a growing ambition to do likewise in Burkina Faso. More insight in the following report. Energy cooperation with African countries is a domain that Algeria heavily relies on, betting on the experience and expertise of the gas and electricity company Sonalgas. The Sonalgas Group, seen as a key player in the energy sector in Africa, is working relentlessly to establish a fruitful partnership with Niger. It intends to dispatch in the few coming days a team of specialists and executives to this African country to broker a memorandum of understanding meant to set up an electrical plant in Niger. Sonalgas is ready to invest in Niger. We will send a team to study the possibility of setting up an electrical plant. Sonalgas is available to accompany Burkina Faso by transporting and distributing energy, maintenance and training of executives in producing electricity. Thank you for welcome. We are ready to work with you in the energy sector, notably in terms of training and management. Such projects denote the new strategy of Algeria intended to spearhead sustainable development in Africa. Still in Africa, but now to Morocco, over a year after the tragedy of the earthquake that struck the House region in Morocco. A fire-ravaged a tent claiming the life of a person inside. The survivors are still living in tents while facing harsh winter despite the plethora of promises made by the Mersin regime, which keeps turning a deaf ear to their legitimate demands. More details with Melissa Leila Balaman once again.
More than a year after the devastating earthquake that struck Al House region in Morocco on September 8, 2023, victims are still living in makeshift tents. Tragically, a fire recently ravaged the tent housing one of the survivors, whose body was found burned. This heartbreaking incident once again sheds light on the complete neglect of survivors deprived of their most basic rights. It's a disaster. The fire took what little we had left. Nobody cares about us. The tragedy repeats itself. The Mersin continues its disregard to the victims, neglecting an urgent file of over 15 months. Despite the cries for help, the authorities continue to turn a deaf ear to their suffering. This is happening in a country led by a monarch whose personal fortune exceeds $2 billion, according to international reports, making him one of Africa's wealthiest rulers. The earthquake claimed so many lives, and the surviving victims are left under tents. I lost my mother, my wife, my daughter, and my son. Aren't they human beings? Do their lives not matter? It's terrible. It's freezing cold, and people are still living in tents. It's unbearable suffering. Nothing but fake promises. We are still homeless. We want to know, is there even any law in this country? Instead of addressing these urgent pleas, the Makhzen focuses on strengthening ties with the Zionist entity, abandoning the Moroccan people to fend for themselves, and proving once again that their welfare is far from being a priority.
Sports now, and the capital's hot derby between USM Algiers and Mouliva Algiers, a game marked by a festive atmosphere before and during and after the match, which was dominated by MCA, which trounced the neighbouring team with 3-0 scored by Moussa Emmanuel Kipre and Bayazid. Following this result, MCA ranked second with 24 points.
برسومك للعب يتواصل صعبة زكريا مونتيكو زكريا في غرف الملابس ما تغير وأي خطاب. هذه مولودية الجزائر التي شاهدناها في الشوط الأول أكيد لا أكرم براس صعبة بايزيد يضيف الثالث لمولودية الجزائر. أي غريب ومغلق ومن دون فرص.
A thrilling game and a festive atmosphere indeed. With this we come to the end of our news. Tomorrow another day, other news. Keep tuning to our channel. Take care. Bye-bye for now.